Now, if you're finding it impossible to get teenagers to pick up your call, don't worry, it isn't you. Well, not necessarily. Anyway, young people apparently just aren't interested in talking on the phone anymore, despite apparently being glued to them. Now, it's all about Snapchatting, iMessaging, video calling. And with us now to explore all of this is Dr. Dougal Sutherland, a behavioural psychologist at Umbrella. Welcome, Dougal. Why aren't young people taking old-fashioned phone calls anymore, do you think?
Well, I think part of it is just the sense of it's the anxiety of who's ringing me and I don't know who you are and I can't see who you are. So I remember that too in my first professional role, was going, oh my God, who's this? I don't know who they are and I don't want to talk to them. And it's unknown in a way. So using things like Snapchat or video calls takes back a lot of that control because you can see exactly who you're talking to and it's much more familiar.
Dougal, is calling someone sort of unsolicited for Gen Z kind of like when people pop in unannounced? I mean, I hate that, but it's very normal for my parents' generation to do that, for example. So is this a sort of generational version, I suppose?
Yeah, I think it could be. It's that sense of unannouncedness and intrusion into your space, particularly if there's no text or no warning that this is coming. It's perhaps it's an emergency because you've got to ring me and you've got to talk to me right now. So if you're using text or Snapchat or anything else like that, it evens the playing field a little bit. There's I can control when I talk to you and I can control when I talk to you, and I think that's a useful thing for controlling anxiety about that sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose now, Dougal, too, because we have mobile phones, there is this expectation that we are always available, isn't there? Which didn't used to exist. I used to kind of love it when my home phone rang. It was exciting. But now we are always available no matter where we are.
Yeah, you're right. And I think that might be a factor in it too. I can remember growing up as a teen when the phone rang, everybody in the house went, the phone's ringing, you've got to go and answer it. But now that we're much more available, I think it does sort of give that sense of I'm much more in control of when I can take a phone call or not take a phone call. So it's not such a big thing when the phone rings. It's not so urgent. So it allows you to. I think it is a generational thing where people can choose to control when and how they talk to people. Maybe you're not feeling great. Maybe you're not looking great, and you don't actually want to take a call then. And I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to circle back to something that you said before as well, which is about phone calls sort of creating anxiety for young people, and that they prefer to text. It's just they have more control that way. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think so. I think any time when you can control, have a sense of control about who you're talking to and how you're talking to them as well. I think the beauty with things like video calls over phone calls is that there is that visual element. So it really enhances communication. And there's not those uncertainties that exist with a phone call. There's not the awkward silences, or you don't sit there wondering, I wonder what they really think. I wonder what they're doing. Did they roll their eyes at that? Because you can see them. And so I think it does reduce that sense of anxiety or that sense of uncertainty and perhaps makes us even better communicators.
It is so interesting. Dougal Sutherland, thanks so much for joining us here on 8 o'clock.